Welcome back to Two Limes and a Lemon. Today we're going beyond the stars and straight into hell. That's right, we're diving headfirst into the 1997 sci-fi horror classic Event Horizon. A movie that proves some doors should never be opened. So grab your spacesuit because things are going to get a bit dark and cosmic.
Are we having theme music? Like, how do we... Is it just start with us talking?
Yeah, Dave's going to do us some, like, a jingle, I think.
Dave.
Nah.
Danielle.
Two Limes and a Lemon. So joined to me today on this crew to Neptune is Natalie and Danielle. Say hi, guys.
Hello.
Hey.
But we've got a new member aboard the ship.
I heard you guys needed a captain and someone to believe in. Someone who's maybe been in a few sci-fis himself. My name's Daniel Thrace, and I'm here to talk about the movie too.
So Dan is a very close friend of mine. I met him way back in, 2016?
No, before that.
Before that, 2014.
Yeah, like I want to say 2012 maybe.
On a film. So Dan is a lovely and a great actor. He's also met the other two members of our crew.
Yeah. On
films. And where did we meet him? Where did we meet Danielle?
We met Danielle in New Zealand.
Didn't we?
At the lovely Hobbiton, if I remember right.
I got separated from the friend I was traveling with because we had gotten to the tour late to see the Hobbiton, the Lord of the Rings set of the Hobbit. What the Shire? That's what it's called, right? You Lord of the Rings nerds. So I sat down, and I'm usually quite reserved and quiet, and I don't know what got into me, but I think I started talking to you guys.
That's right. We was having our food, weren't we? And I was like, I need to go see if they've got a wizard hat or something.
Cape, I think you wanted. A cloak. But before that, I think we were chatting a lot. And then we rode. There's like a tour bus that took us back to the parking lot, and then we sat there and talked for quite a long time. I can't remember how long.
Until the sun went down. I think the sun was going down, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I think it did, right?
Didn't your friend think he was a different actor? Because obviously Dan was like, I'm an actor.
My friend was 100% convinced that Dan was Daniel Radcliffe and could not be talked out of it. I was pulling up things on the internet, but I had such shoddy connection because because we were in New Zealand, and she was like, no, he's traveling with an assumed name so that he doesn't get bombarded by fans, but that's totally who it is. And I was like, oh, all right.
Whereas Nat, you met Dan.
I met Dan when we were filming Fantasy Adventure.
Oh, yeah.
The second best fantasy series ever made.
Well, tell me a bit more about Fantasy Adventure, Nat. What's all that about?
I don't even know what it was about because it never did get a conclusion.
That's a blow in itself.
That was a little fantasy web series that we worked on where I played an elf and Dan played a pig farmer.
I played a pig farmer destined to save the world.
Yeah, obviously, that old trope. But yeah, it was a laugh to make.
And then we all became close friends very soon. Yeah, that's why Dan's on here. He's our first guest of the Two Limes and Lemon podcast.
Am I? I did wonder if I was the first.
Yes.
Could you not tell?
Could you not tell by how organised we were in the previous chat? But yeah, before we talk about it, because Dan has chosen Event Horizon as his horror film for spooky season cinema, so we want to find out why he's picked this film.
So we invited Dan today because he's currently filmed, or they've just released a sci-fi horror video game that he is a part of, and we thought it'd be great to talk about that. It's a great tie-in with Event Horizon. So Dan, tell us a little bit about this game that you're in.
Yes, so I've you're right. I have recently released a project called Dead Reset. That is an interactive FMV game that's on sale on Steam, on Xbox, PlayStation, all the different gaming platforms. It's a sci-fi horror, and it does actually take quite a bit of influence, I think, from certain sci-fi horrors, just like Event Horizon. That is a project where I play the lead character Cole, who is an amnesiac surgeon who finds himself in a pretty tricky situation where he's forced to perform a surgery straight away, and there is this bigger overarching story about sort of there's kind of body horror elements. There's a creature that kind of turns up every now and again. It's a little bit alien-esque in that way. And the main thing that sort of is one of the main storytelling tools is the fact that I can't die. So pretty much, you will see many different variations of my character getting absolutely ruined in more and more horrific ways. But your purpose here, or like the game itself, is you have to find a way through each of the scenes and try and keep my character alive as best you can to work out what the hell is going on and see if you can make it off the base that the team are stuck in.
If I understand correctly, it's like not like a traditional video game. It's one of these video ones where you have to kind of choose your own choice.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, so it's live action. They call them FMV games. There's been quite a few. Wells Interactive, who are the sort of the studio behind it, who got myself and Dark Rift Films, who are a company that I've worked with quite a few times, a film production studio who do some really good work. They've produced a few of these now, and yes, it's live action. You get to watch what is basically a feature film play out. I think the entire run probably takes around 2-3 hours, so it's a great evening watch, and you get to make decisions for my character throughout and try and work out what the hell's going on. But it's like watching a film and getting to have a little bit of a choice in there as you go. A little bit like Bandersnatch that was on Netflix a few years back.
How many endings are there?
I don't know if I should tell you guys that. No, it's been out for long enough now. I think we can do that. There are 4 endings total. You can literally just Google this.
Me and Nat have had a play of it.
We got like one of the worst endings.
I always wonder if it was my favourite ending. When people say they got one of the worst endings, I always wonder if it's my favourite one of the bunch.
Well, no one survived as far as I'm aware.
So we had like a lot of fun watching it, and there's so much mystery in the game. It makes it hard for you to trust certain people. For me and Nat, or definitely, I don't know about you, I don't put words in your mouth, but you were very much like, don't like trusting you, don't trust anybody. This is like, there's a character in it called Slade who's quite brutal, but he's brutally honest in the whole thing.
Yeah, I think he was the only character that I trusted.
Yeah, you know what you're getting with Slade. He tells you. Dennis is absolutely brilliant, as in really, really nails that performance.
But have you played any games like that before, Dan? Or
no, I mean, I played a little bit of Wells Interactive stuff beforehand, just to kind of get an idea of what they do, and I had watched Bandersnatch when that was out on Netflix, which I think was particularly good. I think one thing they struggled with was having it on TV doesn't work quite as seamlessly as having it on your computer. I think Netflix struggled to do too well with Bandersnatch as a concept and as the way it was actually done in the end. And I do think that's partially because when you're watching TV, you don't want to be pressing your remote. That's not really what it's for, kind of thing. And I think this kind of project works way better as something on your computer, something you can, you sit, you're there with your mouse or with your laptop in front of you, and you're actually prepared to interact with stuff a little bit more, I think, when you're on a computer.
I have a question. As far as filming it then, so did you have to do like duplicate scenes for every choice? How was that as an acting job?
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was a lot of fun. It was quite a big challenge at times, mostly because yes, sometimes you are repeating scenes sort of again and again with different variations of it, and depending on the choices that you make throughout the game, you will get literally different characters interacting with Cole, specifically in moments that you would kind of ultimately the main points throughout the game may stay vaguely similar in terms of like what's happening with the creature and the overarching story. But the way you get to those points becomes very different, and you get to interact with different characters based on the choices that you made. So there's literally moments where I might be in one version of the scene, I'd be talking to Lindsay, who plays Fern, Lindsay Crane, who I've done a hell of a lot of work with in many different features at this point. There might be a variation where I'm speaking to Fern and something's going well with her, or maybe things aren't going too well with her. And then there'll be another variation of that same scene where I'm speaking to Slade instead, and it kind of changes the dynamic that you get throughout, and it also changes the dynamic of Cole throughout. You get different variations on his character as you, the player, make decisions on what you want to do in certain moments. So you might, by the end of it, have a very different version of Cole that someone else who's playing it might actually achieve getting.
Do you have like a favourite scene?
In terms of filming, there is a scene down a particularly long corridor that I had loads of fun with. Myself and Daniel Bruce, who plays the creature in the film. We had a good, like a long day's filming down this one particular corridor, and there was quite a bit of action involved. There was a lot of fun that day. We got to do some cool stuff. and just sort of in terms of being able to run around and do a little bit of action stuff, it was a lot of fun. Beyond that, I think it was probably some of the first scenes of the game that we actually shot first as well, just because the whole crew's there. You know, everyone, all of the cast are there. A lot of the cast are people that I've known for a few years. So we have a really good team. We're like a weird little family who make films together. And every now and again, someone new comes in, or someone we haven't seen in ages comes in. So it's just, I don't know, when you're making films or making projects like that with a group of friends, and it's just kind of fun. There's really not much better you can do.
I also wanted to say, it seems like it's quite popular because, like, not even looking it up on TikTok, I've come across several TikTok streamers who I guess probably are doing Twitch streams too, but playing the game. Like, especially when it came out. I couldn't avoid it. It was all over the place.
Not that you were trying to avoid it, Danielle, yeah?
Yeah, not that, no, yeah. But I wasn't actively seeking it out.
It did really well. I think within the first few weeks, we'd had well over 1 million views. We were getting streamed by some of the biggest streamers on the planet. Even the likes of XQC picked it up, which was pretty amazing. Some really big streamers from all over the world. A lot of US streamers, a lot of British ones. There was some Australian ones, loads of streamers. I checked out a few of the streams and kind of hovered around a few to sort of see how people were enjoying it. And generally, people seem to be really liking it and getting into the stories and having a lot of fun watching it as a group. You know, I think that was one of the really wonderful things to see. Which you don't get with cinema. You know, you don't really get that when you make a film, because anyone who's watching it, if it's in the cinema, okay, maybe you could be in the cinema with them. And like at the festivals that I've been to, we've had a little bit of that. But after that, it's just people watching it at home. So unless I happen to know where you live and I'm like watching through the window and be like, are you enjoying it?
Which he does.
Yeah, that's what we do the Kickstarters for. We get people's addresses just so the cast can go along and be like, are you enjoying this film?
Are you enjoying it? I don't see your comment on IMDb yet.
No, we did. It did really, really well. And it was everywhere. It was crazy to see. A really, really like lovely experience to have when people are enjoying it. You know, if people had hated it, I'd be like, I don't even know what you mean. I don't think it was on any of the platforms. But it was.
It was funny. I remember one day turning on my PS5 and it came up as like the news notification. And I was like, I recognise that person. It was just like your face in like a little dark corridor somewhere. I text Dave. I was like, oh my God, Dad's on the PS5.
You know what? That was one of the coolest things. So Wells Interactive, they sent me one of the boxes that had all the kind of gifts that we're giving out to the big streamers who they get to stream it to sort of drum up interest for the game. And in there was a PlayStation 5 game, which I'd like, honestly, sort of 10-year-old me who was playing the PlayStation 1, and was kind of getting into gaming for the first time would be absolutely gobsmacked that there's me on the front of a PlayStation game. Which now sits on my shelf at home as a lovely little memento of the project.
Okay, so moving on to the main subject matter. So Event Horizon is what you've chosen for us to have a look at and discuss.
Yes.
Why this film? Why is it special?
I mean, I think simply because Event Horizon's probably one of the, if not the greatest sci-fi horror film ever made. And I will stand on that. I think it's brilliant. It's incredibly well acted. The art and design in it, the set decoration, the props are absolutely incredible. It's pre-CGI. Well, at least CGI was very young at the time, so much of it is practical effects. All the sets were built, all of the ships are miniatures, so it just looks incredible. The cast are superb. You know, Sam Neill at like the height of his game around the Jurassic Park era. Lawrence Fishburne. Just everyone in this film is absolutely superb. I think it stands out from a lot of horror films as well because it has an older cast who take it very seriously, and that really, really adds to the kind of tension throughout the film. It's messed up as well. I watched it when I was really young, and it definitely scared the life out of me when I did. It was a period of my life when I would watch like horror films with a friend of mine across the road he was like a couple of years older. We were good friends, and he would always watch these crazy horror films. We'd watch like The Exorcist and The Lost Boys and Poltergeist and stuff, and I was always absolutely terrified by these films. And I swear this is the reason why to this day now, when I watch horror films, I'm just there like, yeah, it's not that bad.
Yeah.
Because I got so terrified as a child that I probably cried myself to sleep for a couple of weeks after most of these films. But Event Horizon stands out because
it's gruesome, isn't
it? It's incredibly gruesome. And for a sci-fi as well,
yeah.
I'm a huge sci-fi fan. I love anything nerdy like that. It's absolutely brilliant. It's a great movie. And I think there's so much kind of mystery around it. There's so many things that happened and things that went really well and things were kind of weird in the way that it was shot and what came afterwards. and other fandoms as well, which have kind of made it a little bit of their own lore and stuff like that, which I just think is very cool. There's a real cult following, and there's a good reason for that.
Danielle, was this the first time you watching it, or have you seen it before?
No, I think I saw it when it came out. I remember the trailers for it. It really relied heavily on the image of the Claire character with like the eyes sort of darked out. And I remember that being horrifying, just wondering what this film was. I remember liking it when I saw it, but I haven't watched it since.
And that was this your first time watching it, or have you seen it?
No, I had seen it previously. I don't know when I watched it, but it was on VHS, so that gives you a little bit of a timestamp.
90s.
I remember watching it and liking it, but it was sort of marred by the fact I was watching it and a bird flew into my window while I was watching it. And so I always sort of like remember that a little bit more. So yeah, a bird flew into my window and it didn't quite die, and then I was like, I don't know what to do. Like, there was this half-dead
Sam Neill,
bird.
help me.
Yeah.
He's like in the chair.
That's
like
my own trauma from Event Horizon when I first watched it.
Okay, so those who have not seen Event Horizon, spoiler warning, stop the podcast, go watch it, come back. If not, crack on. But Event Horizon is all about a ship that has been asked, I can't remember, they're going to Neptune, aren't they?
Oh. So Event Horizon is about the Event Horizon, which is a ship that's gone missing near Neptune a few years ago. And then we join the crew of the Lewis and Clark, who are on a search and rescue.
They're going because the ship has gone missing, and the creator of the ship has been tasked to take this group with him so that he can retrieve the ship.
They have to go aboard the ship, and some sort of weird supernatural elements of like hellish things keep appearing. Yeah, it gets a little bit eerie, and you find out that the people in the Event Horizon have kind of opened some kind of portal to another world or something. These sort of hellish nightmares are happening on deck.
Yeah, well, Sam Neill's character's created this incredibly advanced drive, right? The gravity drive, as they call it, which is, and this is like, I think this is one of the best things I love about this film. I think it's the original time in a film where someone did that wormhole explanation where they fold a piece of paper and they shove the pen through.
Oh my god!
Yes.
Which even Christopher Nolan ended up stealing for Interstellar. This is the one where it came from. And that's what the grav drive does. It punches a hole through reality and breaks the laws of physics. Which other little Easter egg there at the start when he's explaining that, rather than calling, because he's talking about physics and he talks about the theory of relativity that we know it as, but he calls it the law of relativity. So it's in a universe in the future or a variation where actually they've proven Einstein's theories and they're now managing to break physics, basically. And that's what the engine does. And that's what the Event Horizon is.
Yeah, we're in 2047.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's not that far ahead of us now. So obviously when it first came out in 1997, that seemed like a long way away in the future. But in reality, now looking at it...
I noted that we are well behind the timeline they set up, because by 2015, we were supposed to have the first moon colony. So we're gravely behind.
We're slacking.
He's a bit faster on that. COVID slowed us down, you see.
It's okay. AI will fix it, though.
Oh,
yeah.
So originally the movie was meant to be 130 minutes long, but they asked him to trim it by half an hour because it was too gory and the test audiences were like testing negatively because they were throwing up or fainting.
Oh, really?
Goodness.
So it was meant to be a lot more gory than it was. And especially that scene where they see on the camera, like the hell orgy, we'll call it. That was meant to be a much bigger scene and part of it.
It was, which they lost all that footage as well.
I was going to say, why isn't there a director's cut?
No, I think it was Paramount, the studio, who were meant to be looking after all of the film reels. They didn't look after it particularly well, so loads of the reels got really, really damaged. I'm not sure if it's one of those ones, because there's places where they keep these out in like the desert, in countries which are much colder because they need to be in really cold temperatures, and the cheapest way to do that is to basically keep them in caves. And something happened, I can't remember what it was exactly, that basically meant loads of the footage that they had got destroyed. So the original cut of Event Horizon, all of the original film reels pretty much don't exist anymore.
Out of the characters, kind of which one stood out to you the most? Because for me, I like the young one with the big ears, what we thought was Lee Evans.
Justin.
Just because of his like he didn't die, but his like death scene kind of thing. In there.
I mean, he had one of the worst sort of death scenes, even though he didn't die.
Because it's one of those things of like, I'm going to go out and die in space. But then because of that loud noise, it goes back to normal. And he's like, what's going on? oh, I'm going to get airlocked, and it's like...
And it's almost like dying in slow motion, because it's like he knows what's coming, and there's quite a big like countdown to it happening. And obviously with Miller telling him how to like breathe all your air out and crunch up into a ball.
Close your eyes.
And to kind of like, as an audience member, you're like, oh God, is it going to work, sort of thing.
Dave, I have a question for you. It's sort of a theme within our last few episodes. Justin is sort of possessed in that beginning of that scene. How did you feel about his possession?
I think he was right because he was facing away from the camera.
So Dave has a ongoing thing where he says he hates possession in movies because he says that nobody can act possessed well.
Okay.
Do you not think they're a bit hammy sometimes when you have to be when someone's pretending to be possessed or something like that? It's like
Yeah.
yeah.
I feel like it maybe falls into the same category as and this is going to sound weird, but waking up on camera.
Oh, yeah.
Because how do you wake up?
Yeah.
How do you wake up? It's such a weird thing to think about, right? Because you don't think about when you do it. And I suppose because hopefully no one's ever actually been possessed. No one really knows what it's like to be possessed.
But it's all that kind of like, I must go now. Do not disturb. It's kind of like very robotic and like completely out of their character. But my main annoyance is not because they're acting bad.
Well, because they're possessed. It's not their character anymore.
Yeah, but no. My issue isn't how they're acting. It's the people, how they react to the person acting weird. If they point it out straight away and notice it's not going right, then I don't know. If you guys started being acting really strange, I'd probably call it out and not just be like, oh, he must have a headache today. But,
You're just trying to prove you're a better friend than anybody in these movies.
yeah.
Thing is, though, I think this is another one of the reasons why this is such a good film, and particularly in the horror side of the genre kind of thing, is because the characters in this actually react as you kind of expect people to, most of the time at least. Maybe there's the odd one where that's not true. Everyone throughout, particularly Sean Pertwee's character Smitty and Lawrence Fishburne, they both, like, the moment they see all this fucked up shit, they're just like, I'm not doing this, I want to get out. One of them, I forget if it's Lawrence or Sean Pertwee, literally says, fuck this ship after they see the video of the thing, and they're just like, we're leaving, I'm not dealing with this.
Yeah.
I will say, I continuously got confused by who Sean Pertwee was and young Jason Isaacs. They looked very similar to me in this. Because neither of them had sort of any trauma nightmares in it. It didn't really give me that to latch on to.
I like the set design though.
Uh-huh.
I know we're talking about characters, which we like, but the set was great. Like the spinny chair that he's the captain's on.
Mm.
It's all kind of like old style computer tech, but kind of like Alien in that sense, but like grubbier. That corridor Sam Neill goes in, it's all like the inside of a computer kind of thing. Everything's...
Oh, like the Borg cube aesthetic.
Yeah, that was really cool. What did you think of Sam Neill's like scared acting?
What was interesting about his character is that he went from being like who you consider to be like the typical protagonist to the antagonist. So it has a complete like 180 of who you're kind of rooting for. Obviously when it starts we're following his story, and then by the end of it we're following Miller's. So that was quite an interesting dynamic. I was trying to work out, are there many other films where you start off following one character and then it switches to another? The only one I could really think of without it being like an antagonist was The Village, where you start following Joaquin Phoenix and then by the end you're following Bryce Dallas Howard.
Yeah, it's a good point,
Probably.
actually. They play on his obsession with his own work really well, don't they?
I like that moment where he sort of, it's almost like the meme of Homer going back into the hedges. I am home. And he like slinks up backward into the shadows.
For someone who didn't have any eyes, he knew where people were quite easy.
Well, that's the line, isn't it, though? Like, where we're going, you won't need eyes to see.
Yeah.
I didn't understand his look at the end, just like plot-wise. Like, was it because he was sort of reassembled after he got pulled out of the ship? That's why he looked like he'd been, slashed up all over his body? Like, it was neat looking, but I just didn't understand plot-wise why he looked like that.
Yeah, I'm not too sure. They did that with Justin's character a little bit as well when he'd been out in space, right? And I know obviously the first corpse that they found, the corpsicle, as they call it, has that same thing. So it's in terms of his character doing it, I think you're right. It doesn't make that much sense. In terms of the others, it kind of does, especially if they've been to the hell dimension, because that kind of flaying of skin,
Yeah.
that sort of torture that they've clearly been through is a big thing there. I almost wonder if, because there's so many religious themes throughout, I almost wonder if that was like a torture from back in the day or something like that, where they just lacerate the skin all over.
We did think like when Cooper comes back near the end and he's like, hey, how's it going, outside the window, and then Sam Neill shoots it and they all fly out. But before that, the lady, I can't remember her name, gets thrown and she smacks her head against the side, and then everything's
Stark?
flying out. yeah, everyone's getting flown out the window. And we was like, where's the woman? She would have been flown out ages ago. And then, yeah, you see her later on, like, holding on, like, I'm fine, save me. I was like, she woke up just at the right moment.
Like her belt's got like snagged
Yeah.
on something somewhere.
Well, I love that it's strong enough to rip a chair out, like chairs
Yeah.
that are bolted to the floor. It's strong enough to rip that out. But Lawrence Fishburne, he's fine. He's just like holding on, screaming a bit.
Yeah.
But he's like, it's
Yeah.
all good. I'm stronger than steel, guys.
Yeah, I got this.
Also, they established earlier that, you know, whenever it's broken to space, like your insides start to explode. Why wasn't that happening to them?
I assume there was some atmosphere still in the ship, so they hadn't fully decompressed yet. That's how I'm looking at it.
Yeah, not a full vacuum.
Okay.
Yeah. It's because it's how a vacuum works, right? If you want to get into the kind of disgusting details, they say that if you go out into space, you wouldn't necessarily freeze. It's like the gases in your body start to expand, and all of the molecules in your body start to expand because there's no pressure on them, and because the vacuum like basically pulls you apart a bit, so you kind of expand and start to blow up almost.
I thought it was an interesting choice that they didn't show Justin again, because I thought he would be like full on suffering after that ordeal.
Yeah, they just kind of tied him away into one of the like stasis tubes. They're like, oh yes,
Yeah.
we've got him to a point where he's stable and we've hidden him away now. No more to be seen in the rest of the film.
Which, to be fair, but again, another good, like Event Horizon doing it again, logically makes sense, right? You've stabilised him.
does.
What else are we going to do? Let's put him in a stasis pod, and hopefully, if we get out of here, he can survive and not be traumatised for the rest of his life. The 40k fandom, loads of them have such a big tie to Event Horizon, and a lot of people say that Event Horizon is like a precursor to the Warhammer 40k universe, because it's meant to be the first time a human ship went through the warp and had connection with the Chaos Gods, which I personally absolutely love because I'm a huge 40k
Yeah.
fan.
Can you explain that? What that is?
Yeah, so in Warhammer, ships they can't travel faster than like in the same way that they do in Star Wars or Star Trek or anything like that. They go through a different dimension, which is known as the warp, and the warp in the Warhammer 40k universe is ruled over by these 4 huge chaos gods that are pretty much a reflection of all the terrible feelings and things that go on in the physical universe. And if you were to ever go through the warp without something in the 40k universe called a Geller field, which basically protects you from all the demons and these crazy spirits that just want to tear you apart and make you live out all of your worst and most heinous sort of fantasies, then something like this would happen. And that's why people kind of believe that it was never meant this way, but a lot of people buy into this idea that it could be a precursor to that, and that this is actually the first ever warp drive, and what's happening is they're skimming through the warp itself, which is like I say, this crazy other dimension, and the demons of the warp have then infected the ship and infected everything. And because they are very demonic, very religious, they can possess, they can do all this awful stuff. And they are generally in Warhammer absolutely horrific, the things that they'll do to you. It's very reminiscent. There's a big similarity between the two. Even all the iconography in this film. So like the Event Horizon itself is a cross. There's a lot of Gothic architecture in the design for it, and even the grav drive itself. I don't know if you guys have heard like. So the biblical description of what an angel looks like is meant to be multiple intersecting circles with eyes all over it. And what does the grav drive in the film look like? It's multiple intersecting circles with all of these little lights, which are the eyes. And so it's kind of this weird angelic / demonic image, which again, I think it's like you said it before, Dave, like it's so beautifully designed. The whole set and everything has had so much thought put into it.
I think for me, the idea of it was, like, I liked the idea of it. I didn't feel like they followed through as well as they could have. And I don't know if it's just because, the director was sort of held in. They had to cut out a bunch. But, the idea of this film, to me, seems like something that would normally stick with me. And it didn't in this viewing. And so I don't know if that was maybe a consequence of me sort of not paying attention as much as I should have this time, or if I just wanted a little bit more in the film.
I think it is a film that does need your full attention. I wouldn't say it's one that you can really get the full experience out of if you're looking at your phone or doing something else at the same time. You do need to kind of concentrate, because I feel like there isn't too much to flesh out some of the sub characters, so you kind of have to look for the clues as to their characters as you're going along, whether it be what's on their bunks, the pictures that are there of their family and things. Obviously you've got the character of, is it Peters, and she's obviously got a son that she's had to leave behind, so there's little bits of information, but you've really got to kind of search for them.
I think for me, there were a bit too many characters. Like, I wish they would have given every character one of these nightmares to kind of follow along with. I think the characters who didn't have those, I didn't get as much of a strong connection to.
All of the ones who have the visions are the ones who have guilt in their life, and there's something that they regret, something that they wish hadn't happened, and that's sort of what the entity, the darkness, as they call it, I think, plays on and preys upon.
If this movie was made today, what would be different about it? Do you reckon it would be a lot tamer?
They'd all be in their early 20s.
Yeah, they'd be younger, there'd be a romance, there'd be a sex scene. Not the orgy scene. There'd probably be more explosions.
Yeah, definitely a lot more.
I mean, to be fair, Paul Anderson obviously is the director. He has said it's his best-looking movie he's ever shot. I think, yeah, definitely. Looking at, like, this compared to, like, Resident Evil or things like that, it's, like, completely, like, a different...
Yeah, like, even...
like, aesthetic.
Even this guy, Paul Anderson, it would probably have made a different film by the time he had made all of those Resident Evil films, too. There would have been...
Yeah, exactly.
Mila Jovovich would have definitely been in it if he was doing it later. Probably would have been, like, 3 of her.
Yeah. She'd have probably been the Sam Neill character.
She would have been the Sam Neill character, definitely. There's so many little details in it. Like, do you see, when Sam Neill first sees he comes out of the stasis pod and he sees his wife sat in the seat and she turns around, she's in there. When it first shows her image in the reflection, there's 2 eyes staring at you at the top of that as well. There's loads of little details like that in this film.
No, I didn't notice that.
It really is the kind of film that when you go back, you can see so many little details. Even like little things on the ship's uniforms, like the American flag has more than the 50 stars. The European Union one also has extra stars on it and stuff like that. So they've done loads of little bits of like universe building within the sort of imagery that they don't really pay any attention to, but there's shots where you can see it.
Oh yeah, apparently Sam Neill's has an Aboriginal flag from either Australia or New Zealand on it.
Okay.
Yes, yeah, he does, yeah. And I'm not sure exactly why they decided to do that, but they're definitely hinting that, that the Aboriginal people have separated from Australia. I think that's one of the things I love about this, because those kind of details, like you said, you have to really pay attention when that's there. And I suppose maybe it hasn't held its sort of own over the years kind of thing. It's certainly not a perfect movie, but those details are there for you to see. And I feel like that comes with old school films where they don't do as much CGI and stuff like that. I think the people who build those things, they put in so much time and effort into making it work. And I mean, and this wasn't even a particularly successful film at the time, and yet there was so much that went into it.
Yeah, because I didn't even know about it really until you told me about it, Dan. Like when we watched it, I had like, what's Event Horizon? I heard you talking about it, but I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. What was this film? And then everyone in the crew were like, Event Horizon, and I was like. Okay. Well, I mean, like, I remember being on that. I think we were doing How to Kill Monsters. We were talking about my like lack of watching older films.
Dan, we are trying to remedy to this with this podcast.
Yeah.
It's one of the.
This podcast is just.
I did wonder if that was like one of the main sort of driving forces behind this podcast.
Watch some older films, Dave. Okay.
Dave has sighed and made an effort every time an older film is chosen. Usually by me.
Yeah, Body Snatchers we watched.
Okay, cool.
Back to the Future you finally watched?
Yeah, Back to the Future Part 2 we watched.
I remember you telling me about that,
but
and you were really disappointed.
Yeah,
or it was exactly what you expected. Maybe I'm not sure.
But no, like with this one, like I didn't hear anything about it, and like watching it, the just amount of detail of the sets and stuff, and like you said, there's loads of little. If you watch it again, you can notice other things going on. So, but I think if you really enjoyed it, you'd probably watch it again and see those moments. But if you're just someone that's just casually watching it, you might be like, "This ain't for me. It's not that good." I've seen Saw now. I don't need to watch Event Horizon.
Yeah, I mean I suppose that's a really good point though, right? Like for when it was made and stuff, there's flashes of that things, and I think because it was part of like kind of the Hellraiser era and things like that, there was a growing thing with this, but it hadn't quite reached the levels that we have with the likes of like Saw and Hostel and stuff, where they're films that are just trying to shock you with their gore and how awful they are. And honestly, I think horror films went down a little bit. Like Saw was wonderful and really did what it did well, but a lot of horror films these days have, I don't know, they seem to have lost that ability to tell story within what they're doing. And I think, maybe they weren't all that great back in the day and were trying to do things that were beyond what they were capable of kind of thing. But there was that driving force of story still behind them a lot of the time. and it wasn't kind of, there is a lot more kind of shock jock kind of things, these days, I think, where they're just trying to make you go, oh, that's disgusting, I feel ill, or just trying to make you jump. I mean, personally, I love a film with good story and solid sort of acting in it, which, again, I think Event Horizon, the acting across the board is brilliant. They really managed to do that well, and I think it holds its own for that reason.
That's why I feel like some of that kind of storytelling's coming back. So like A24 films, their horror kind of stuff there.
Yeah.
It's storytelling first, then horror. I watched Bring Her Back last week. Really good film made by the Raka Raka twins, Danny and Michael.
Okay, that one, yes.
That for me, I was just sitting there like, this is a really good story. It's beating, like, you've got these expectations of where it would go, and it completely just flips on that. And you go, oh, okay, shit, this is happening. And it delivers with the gore and stuff still, but the story's there first to make you care and really be interesting.
Yes.
So I'm hoping like that kind of storytelling in horror is coming back, and not just being this sort of like one trick pony kind of like, oh, The Conjuring, remember that? There's 8 of them now.
But I think there's waves of what's popular with horror. So you look back to the 80s, and it was very much the slasher films. 90s got into a little bit more deep, the nightmares and dreams almost. And then as a reaction to that sort of becoming rote, then you got the Kevin Williamson era of films where it was so meta, and Scream and sort of these teen slashers, but also kind of a wink to it. And then that became, overplayed. And then you had Saw and the Conjuring universe. And now that has become like overdone. Everything is it's just saturated with that kind of horror right now. And so things like Weapons that we talked about this year coming out are like kind of a breath of fresh air, and maybe that's the dawning of the next age of horror, this A24 and etc. types of horror.
So we'll flip it back to Event Horizon now. We're back on the ship now, and we're just going to reflect on our journey and what we thought of it, what we think of it. So we'll reflect back and see who out of the cast who we thought worked really well, who was our favourite character, and then we give a little sum up of what we thought of it out of 5 limes or 5 lemons. Yeah. So best kind of characters, Danielle. Who did you kind of like?
I love Sam Neill, so I think he was my favorite. And again, for all the reasons discussed, the duality of him, where he started out as you think that he's the protagonist, and it turns into him being the villain. And if I were to have to name like a least favorite character, like again, I said there were like several of them I wanted to know more about. And so I think if I'd known, I wish I had known more about Stark and what her motivations were, and the same with like DJ.
For me, my favourite was Miller, which was the Lawrence Fishburne character. I think as well, it was nice to see him in like a leading role, because most of the movies that I've seen with Lawrence Fishburne have been like a supporting. So it was nice to have him kind of like at the forefront. Least favourite, probably Peter's, because she kept getting shown her son throughout. And so at that point where she then dies, it's like you already know that you keep getting shown your son. So when she's chasing after him through the machine and then falls to her death, I'm kind of like, you must have known.
I will say one of my favorite moments is after she falls to her death, the nightmare vision of her son just kind of looks over the hole she fell down and has the creepiest grin.
Oh yeah, no, that is a good shot.
Dan?
I think favourite character is got to be Sean Pertwee as Smitty. He's like the audience's voice. He's the one who's like, we need to get the hell out of here. His instincts from the start of the film are bang on. He's like instantly not happy about being there, and he just kind of picks up on it. And as much as I think of the kind of the more side characters, he's the one who has the most character. You know who he is, where he stands. And I mean, so Sean Pertwee, always absolutely brilliant in everything that he does. I would probably agree. I wouldn't say least favourite, but yeah, I would have liked to have known more about Stark and DJ, which I think is funny to say that about Stark, because she survives to the end. She's definitely one of the kind of the leading characters, and it is in it as much as nearly everybody else, like some of the actual sort of main characters kind of thing. But you never really find anything about her. I don't know if she gives as much character as say Sean Pertwee does. So yeah, probably Stark is probably my least favourite. If I could say least favourite, I think everyone was brilliant in this.
Dave?
I said earlier, I said the bear boy. My little bear boy.
Oh, Justin.
Justin. Little bear.
Why is he a bear?
Because then she called him Little Bear or something.
Oh, she does. Little Bear and then Mama Bear.
Did you not watch the film, Natalie?
I did.
I don't think they ever called him Little Bear Boy, though, so that kind of threw me off.
But out of Limes, I would give it a 4, I'd say, after this conversation. When I was first watching it, I was like, Because I remember when we finished it, I was like, it was alright, but I don't really know what to say about it. But now, like, we've kind of discussed it a bit more, I kind of been like, okay. So yeah, I'll give it like a 3.5 to 4.
I'll give it a 3 limes. I enjoyed it, but it probably wouldn't be my go-to sci-fi horror.
It would be Alien, right?
Yeah, probably, yeah. I love Alien, even the bad ones, like Alien Resurrection. But, yeah, I probably wouldn't go to Event Horizon for another few years, but I do watch Alien quite frequently.
I would give it a 4 out of 5. I think a strong 4 though. I don't do halves on this. So let's go with a strong 4. It's not perfect. It certainly has a few bits in it that could have maybe been done differently, or it just doesn't. It just didn't have the sort of freedom to do certain things. But definitely a strong 4. The acting is brilliant. The set design's amazing. I love it because there's weird warp demons taking over a ship and possessing everyone and making them do horrific stuff to each other. Really all that they needed was the God Emperor of Mankind to turn up and save the day, but that was never going to happen because he's doing his own thing at this point in time.
I'm sorry, is that more Warhammer stuff?
You're damn right it is.
How many dice does he roll?
He's the God Emperor. He doesn't need to roll dice. He just goes, stop it, and it stops.
How about you, Danielle?
I think I'll agree with you and give it 3. I liked it. Not my favorite, but I thought it was strong, and there's just some things that I would have liked to have seen more to it that would have bumped it up a little more for me.
There we go then, guys. We've made it back to Earth. Say goodbye to Neptune. Say goodbye to the Event Horizon. It's gone. It's dusted. And say goodbye to Dan. So thanks very much for joining us on this 2 Limes and a Lemon podcast. It's been a blast.
Thanks for having me on. It's been good fun.
A rocky start, but we made it through.
Yeah, it was a bumpy ride, but we got there. But okay, yeah, so join us next week where we have another guest star. Oh, they're all flocking in now. So we'll see you next time. It's goodbye from me.
Bye from me.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Toodaloo.